Today we are learning basketball with David Steele, the one and only voice of the Orlando Magic. Just one of the best broadcasters in the game. You tune into a Magic game, you're in for a treat, no matter who you're rooting for. With David Steele at the helm, just an honor to be here talking with you and talk about some timing. How about some big magic moves in the news? Desmond Bane is an Orlando magician. Can't wait to just hear all your thoughts about the big moves. And beyond just that, the Magic are in the middle of this huge rebrand, this relaunch of the logo, the jerseys, bringing back the classics, intertwining the pinstripes with the stars and the logo. So much excitement. And the season just ended, and we thought we'd be off for a few months until we go. But man, so much to talk about. How you doing today, David?
I'm doing great, and I'm excited about all those things you just mentioned, Ryan. It's a great time to be an Orlando Magic fan or broadcaster or both.
Absolutely. And Jeff Weltman has said all the time that's a classic interview line for him, and for good reason, because it really is. Today is a great day
Today is a
to
great
be
day.
a Magic basketball fan, just like any other day. But it's special today because let's hear your instant thoughts on the trade. On Father's Day, the Magic make this blockbuster deal bright and early. I'm actually at the movies with my dad, and we're in the middle of a movie, so we can't really like freak out or anything. But we're doing like silent high fives, like we just won the lottery or something. And so I want to hear, what was your experience like? Were you doing any Father's Day activities where it caught you? What was your story like when you heard the news and just instant reaction the moment you hear it?
Well, mine is pretty interesting too. I wasn't in a movie theater. My wife and I were in church,
Oh,
and my phone was in my pocket and silenced, obviously, but it kept buzzing, 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 and I'm in church. I don't want to pull my phone out and see what's going on, so I didn't. So, as soon as the service was over and we got outside, I pulled out my phone and looked, and it was Dante and Jeff and George Galante and Ty Eastham, all, our crew, Joel Glass, texting and telling me what was going on. And I was dumbfounded. I was blown away. I've been like all Magic fans. I've been scouring X and the internet trying to figure out what we might do because Jeff Weltman, I mean, you gotta give it to the guy. I mean, he plays it so close to the vest. Nobody knows what's up his sleeve. And I love that. I love that about him. I think it's great. So I had no idea. None of us had any idea. And if you had told me, Ryan, before at the end of the season that the Magic could get Desmond Bane in the offseason, I would have thought there's no way. Memphis A is not going to let him go. He's part of their core, and I just figured the price would be so exorbitant that we wouldn't want to give up Suggs or Wagner or Paolo definitely to get him. So I wouldn't even have considered that. I was thinking more, Malik Monk, all the names that you see, um, Kobe White. There's a list of about 4 or 5 guys, but Desmond Bane, I mean, they've been saying, and it's so true. He checks every box when it comes to the Orlando Magic. So, I was excited about it. I think he is the missing piece for this group. Not that I don't think Jeff's done yet. I think there's going to be more. Nothing major I wouldn't expect, but there's got to be some tweaks around the edges, to get back before the start of the season. But there's plenty of time to do that, and I think there'll be plenty of opportunity. So, but yeah, this is a big day. It was big day in Magic history. I put it right up there with, and I tweeted this, Ryan. I don't know if you saw this or X'd it. Do you say X or tweet? I X'd
I'm
it.
sticking with tweet. He can't take the
Okay,
word from us.
I'm with you. But it reminds me, and it really does. In 1994, the Magic were good. They had a young Shaq, a young Penny. Um, the starting power forward was Larry Kristoviak on opening night, and a guy that you might have heard of, Jeff Turner, started a bunch of games that year at the 4 spot,
A
and
legend.
they were both very good players. But the Magic went out and overpaid Horace Grant in the offseason, and were just blistered for how can you pay Horace Grant that kind of money at that time? And a year later, you're in the NBA Finals. He was that missing piece. He was exactly what Shaq needed: an interior enforcer that could knock down a 15 to 18 foot jump shot, great defender in the post. just mixed in perfectly with the group. Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott, that group, Penny Hardaway. So then you're in the finals, and then in 2007, the Magic have Dwight Howard and Hito and Jameer Nelson, and that's a nice team, but it's not going to win an NBA championship. And Otis Smith goes out and overpays Rashard Lewis. And again, the team was, criticized. You can't pay him that. He's not worth that much money. 2 years later, we're in the NBA Finals again. So those are the two inflection points in Magic history, to me, where the team went out and made a bold move, took a big gamble, and those two instances, they paid off in spades. So is Desmond Bane that guy? I think, you could argue that this is the third iteration of that process that the franchise has used. So I'm excited about it.
Absolutely, and I'm really glad you brought up those examples. That was one of my kind of follow up questions. Was does this kind of transaction, does the energy around the team kind of feel like it did when they brought in a Rashard as that last missing piece, or to your point, Horace as the last missing piece back then? And on the outside world, maybe they don't necessarily how perfect the fit was with these pieces, and that's where the overvaluing from the outside world comes from. But then when you really dive into the talent, especially for Bane in this group, like the fit is just immaculate. Like I tweeted the day before the trade that the reason I thought kind of it had taken maybe a little longer than expected, why the front office was being so patient with this process, was that it was going to be a challenge to add 3-point shooting to solve that problem without sacrificing the defense. And this is where Desmond Bane, it just feels like fell out of the sky as a perfect answer for what they're looking for, because Jeff Weltman even said in the interview after the trade, he didn't expect Desmond Bane to be available after the season, when he had made a declaration of being more aggressive in the offseason to find scoring, find offense for this group. And then they're doing their trade talks, they're finding intel and negotiating, and then it comes up that Bane is actually available for the right price. And they supposedly what he said was the team just went all in 100% right then to target a guy that they really valued. And you just couldn't like dream up a better player, because like a lot of the names that you mentioned before, that like a Malik Monk, or a lot of the targets that Orlando had on paper that everyone thought were targets were offensive focused guys, but didn't really do much on defense. Like the challenge would have been to cover them up defensively, but maybe the trade-off with their impressive offense was worth it. But somehow they found a player who's a top 3, top 5 shooter in the NBA, who's also a versatile scorer, who can run some offense and different play types, run some, pick and rolls and handoffs when other guys are taking a breather. He can slide right in. And the big thing to me is he adds defensive. Like maybe it's something of a wash compared to KCP, but he doesn't sacrifice defense. You're not losing defense by adding the offense here. And that to me is what raises the floor and the ceiling of this team at the same time, where you continually build and add parts, complementary pieces to the roster that are not taking away from each other anywhere. And it just between Bane's arrival and also Suggs being healthy again at the right time, we're looking at 2 potential knockdown 3-point shooters at high volume, 7 threes a game to kind of space the floor for your Paulo, your Franz, and even Anthony Black off the bench. And I was just wondering, what do you think of all the fit? Just that how does that fit look in your mind on the court?
Well, like you said, he is another. He can be another primary facilitator. That's a real gift that he brings to our team. We don't really have that true point guard. Jalen is not a pure point guard. Anthony Black is still a work in progress as a lead point guard, a distributor, an organizer. He's young. He's going to be very good. But, so here we bring in Desmond Bane. And our primary facilitators, as you know, Ryan, are pretty much Paolo and Franz in the half court. And now you add another guy that you can run pick and roll with, and that can play off the ball. He can play on the ball. It enables Jalen Suggs to play off the ball. He's a better catch and shoot 3-point shooter than he is off the dribble. I think the stats greatly bear that up. And he's young. He's going to get better in these areas, but his strength right now is the catch and shoot three when it comes to the three ball. So I think I think all the 3-point percentages will go up. I think every player is going to get a better look because Jamahl Mosley said it yesterday. I think the first word he used when he was asked about the impact of Bane was one word: space. And yeah, space is everything in the NBA. You can't play in closets and phone booths. They're too big, too strong, too physical. You have to be able to move the defense around, and you have to find those gaps, and you have to have people that can make shots to create that opportunity. So I think he's just perfect for the team. He can get his own three. He can shoot it off the dribble. It's interesting. He's not a high volume or even a high percentage corner 3-point shooter, which is sort of cuts against the grain in the modern NBA. But I was looking at it. He's third or fourth and above the break threes on the NBA stats. Third or fourth in percentage. I think it's Zach LaVine, Norman Powell, maybe Porzingis, all right at 40 some early low 40s, and Desmond Bane. His corners, he doesn't shoot very many, and the percentage is down in the 30s. So he gets a lot of his threes in transition, maybe secondary fast break, just pull up and drill one, just unexpectedly. He's just that's a great offensive weapon to have in early offense. So he's an interesting player. He's going to be a big plus for sure.
Yeah, and to that point on Suggs, that I don't think a lot of people realize is just how he was kind of in an off role without many games last season. Like to me, everything went right the year before last season, but last year was a little chaotic injury wise. And for Suggs, to your point, most of his threes last year were above the break threes. I just was looking at it with Eric Weiss talking about this trade, and he was about 30% on like 200 pull up threes above the break, but like a solid 40% still on a much lower volume, like 30 or 40 total threes below the break or in the corners.
Mm-hmm.
So, with Suggs, I think a lot of people don't realize is he only had 5 games in his normal role last year. Like as soon as Paulo went down, he became even more of the de facto point guard for a few games until the ball really started going through Franz a lot more, it felt like. But even then, he was playing without Paulo as something of the de facto point guard for 20, 25 games, and then he's out for the whole season. So his 3-point numbers reflect that he was on the ball running the offense, taking more above the break pull-up threes, and missing them compared to his normal role of catch and shoot off-ball corner threes, where he was a 40% shooter just the year before. So I think returning to that role, now being arguably like fourth in command, like Bane could probably get more offensive touches, a little more of kind of opportunity to score and create for this offense. I could definitely see that happening where Suggs kind of returns to more of a connector role. And I agree that I think he's obviously he's a defensive ace. Like that's his calling card. Like I would love for him to just focus all his energy on running through those screens, point of attack defense, and chase down blocks and being that energy on defense. And then, provide that catch and shoot 3-point shooting outlet that we know he has. And he has also shown scoring versatility as well. Like he's been consistent off handoffs and gotten better in pick and rolls and ISOs with the ball in his hands. So, we're still in the business, I think, the Magic are of kind of seeing what kind of guard Jalen Suggs still can be, because I think that development is not complete. It's been interrupted from all these injuries and changing roles. So that's something to keep an eye on. And I think just some slightly underrated from the aspect that I'm not sure if the rest of the national landscape really realizes this team was top 2 defense 2 years in a row and basically like a 4 seed when healthy for both seasons. And they just added Desmond Bane. Like this team they lost 2 role players, but they upgraded and can fill in with their depth. Like, I don't know if people realize that this team could be a legitimate playoff contender as soon as like next season. And I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ryan, I've seen and heard, I've been listening to some podcasts and reading everything in the last couple of days. And I've seen some of the experts that I actually respect a little more than many of the others. The ones that I really respect and know that they know ball. They say what you said. I mean, and that's where I am on it. So it's nice to hear people that you respect that because I'm looking at it through magic colored glasses. I'll admit that, and you are too.
Right. Right.
But when others on the outside say what your perception of it that you respect, then that means a lot. And I do think it's on paper. I mean, it's got to play out.
Yeah.
So we're all speculating.
Yeah.
But that's the game. That's how you have to play it. And I just greatly respect Jeff. I think he played his cards right. I probably couldn't have done this deal at the trade deadline for Desmond Bane. Everybody was all hot and bothered, and I was like, let's just wait. We got the draft. We got these picks. Let's see what happens, see what he can pull off. And I knew he was going to pull off something. And I think he deserves a lot of credit, he and his staff. I agree.
Absolutely.
I think this team could, like you said, to go 41-41 last year with all of those injuries. Jamahl Mosley just kept that thing chugging, and he just wouldn't let the guys quit. He's a big part of this whole thing too. I think Desmond's going to love playing for Jamahl Mosley, and the fact that they were able to keep their head above water, still be a playoff team. A number 7 seed instead of number 4, but only a handful of games out of that 4th or 5th spot again this year, despite all those injuries. And I agree. I think it's you look at the competition, and obviously it's not going to be easy. It's never easy, but certainly the Magic will be in the mix if everybody stays healthy and this plays out like it looks like it's going to play out.
Absolutely. So many great points there. Definitely huge credit to Jeff Weltman, Anthony Parker, the front office for their patience and their process to collect all of these picks and and find and target these good basketball players, these good people, and negotiate these contracts to make so many tradable deals. Because to me, this was the result of their flexibility. Like sometimes, myself included, fans can get impatient. We want the answer now. Like we all see what's wrong. Where's the solution? Like it's 2K and we can just keep flipping until we get it right,
Right.
But the big key to me is that patience and that process paid off, because the whole point of future flexibility is a move like this, is to be able to cash in chips and go all in around the core that you believe in and collect all these pieces for a move like this. It's not to add 5 future late first round pick rookies to a roster that's trying to win. Like that is the trade-off. Like, and if the team was rebuilding, if they didn't have Paulo and Franz and Suggs and Black and all these exciting young prospects, then that risk of giving up potential stars is a lot bigger. But that's not where this team is at. This team's trying to win now. There's not room for rookies really to get playing time unless they're uber talented and just fit perfectly. Or a De Silva brings an all-around versatility, and he carved out a role. But even he was good, and I think he had trouble finding minutes too. So maybe next year more of a carved-out role. But definitely want to hear just about Coach Mosley and his impact on the culture. I mean, to me, like it's night and day, the culture around this team from the moment he walked in. And it's nothing about previous coaches or past regimes. It's just that the energy shifted with Coach Mosley in the building. Like I want to ask you, and I'm not trying to like compare any teams negatively, but have you ever been around like a team so competitive, so resilient as the energy that from a group that Mosley seems to inspire among his players? And you touched on it already, but how could you see Bane just fitting in perfectly with that culture, that hustle, that defense, that grit and grind culture that Memphis he's coming from over at Memphis? I think that's right in line with what Coach Mosley has here.
Yeah, we've had some good coaches. I think Brian Hill was an underrated coach. The way he handled 22, 23-year-old Shaq.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't the most mature human on the planet at the time, and a 22-year-old Penny Hardaway. He did a great job, and that team had a great chemistry and a great energy, and so did Stan's group. What he and Otis Smith and that front office built. That again, this feels very similar to those other two situations in every way. Not just plugging in a guy like Bane, but also the chemistry that was already there, the pieces that were already there, and then you get a guy that you just plug and play, and he instantly makes everybody better. So yeah, I think we've seen this before, but this is a tight knit group, and you're right, you're absolutely right. The day Jamahl walked in the door at the first practice, he's energetic, he's personable, he is an incredible communicator. I've watched many practices, and it's really interesting to watch him communicate. He's all in there. I mean, his assistants are they're vocal, but Jamahl is the guy. I mean, he commands the respect and the attention of everybody in the building, and he has a great command of the English language, and just his ability to connect with people, not just players. But I don't know if you've been around. He's out at his son, two of his sons, and I think a daughter too, play flag football
Okay.
in Winter Park, and I've got three grandsons that play in the same league.
Oh, wow.
So we'll walk up on a Friday night. It's called Friday Night Lights. It's quite a scene. But there's hundreds of kids and parents everywhere, and Jamahl's standing there on the sideline, chatting it up with the other parents on his kids' team, and he'll come over and we'll have a little conversation, and then other people are. He's just a regular guy. He's just a wonderful person, cares about people, and I think he's really special. We're really fortunate and glad to have him as our head coach. Again, I think Bane's he's gonna be blown away by the chemistry of this team.
Absolutely. I mean, can't say enough nice things about Coach Mosley. Like it just feels like the difference to me, to the average coach from the outside, just feels something to do, like you hit on, his communication, his ability to be brutally honest with players and critical, but respectful, and at a place that they know he's looking out for their best, for the best for their team, for the best for the player. Like he's not coming at it as a way to make them feel bad, as some sort of like reverse negative motivation
He's
tactic.
not playing
Like,
mind games.
yeah,
There's no mind games going on
right.
there. You're right.
Exactly. So just that communication, that honesty, that respect, and Des called him a player's coach and a cool cat in the first interview. So it seems like they're off to a good start there.
Yeah.
So with two of the guys that were sent out in the trade, Cole Anthony and KCP, I was just wondering if you could kind of describe what Cole Anthony has meant, especially to this team's culture. Obviously, he is just a ball of energy, bright smile, ton of laughs. Like one of the favorite like post game interviews. Like no one gets more, like there's no better like hype man teammate than Cole Anthony. So I think the team is gonna miss that energy a lot, even if it wasn't in the long term plans and all that. So I was just wondering, can you kind of sum up what Cole has meant to this culture the last few years, and also KCP last
Mm-hmm.
season, bringing that defensive effort, got hit on with the off shooting year, but maybe it was just an off year. And like, I still think that top two defense is only possible because KCP was available night to night at point of attack when we're missing a Suggs for half the year.
Oh,
So,
no question. No
KCP
question.
and Cole.
No question about what you said about KCP. Defensively elite. I'm not sure if Desmond on the ball is that caliber. KCP special. I mean, he's really, really elite defensively. And you're right. The team doesn't maintain a top five, even top two, as you said, defense. If he doesn't play, what did he play? 79 games out of the 82, something like that.
Yeah,
He was
super
there every night,
reliable.
basically every night, and that's been his history. So, a good guy too. Good family guy, just great teammate. So yeah, I can see why he has been a popular player everywhere he's gone. And it was just a situation where he didn't make threes. He didn't make big threes. He had opportunities to hit big shots, and it just didn't happen for him for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe he needs a Desmond Bane, out there because he's not a shot creator. He's primarily a catch and shoot 3-point guy. So, and we just didn't have enough, playmakers to figure out how to maximize him, perhaps. But maybe in Memphis he reverts back to his 36 to 38% threes, and playing with John Morant, that might make a big difference. So that could work out pretty well for Memphis. He could be a nice piece for them. And Cole, you already said his value. It's his energy, his personality. He's a great teammate too. You'd see him always, even when he was out of the rotation, which that happened some this past year. He was the first guy up on the bench, always patting guys on the back, encouraging, and so that's a good personality trait for an NBA player to keep your head up and to keep being a good teammate when things aren't going that well for you personally. And then on the court, obviously he could get 30 on any given night, and so that's going to be his value in Memphis, I'm sure. And I tell you, the people that'll miss him more than anybody else are probably Dante Marchitelli, the post-game interviews, Kendra Douglas, the post-game interviewers on our broadcast, because you can't miss TV when Cole was stepping up to the microphone after a big win.
Absolutely. I mean, he was just a joy. Like I probably remember his post-game interviews as much as anything, but also the game-winning shots. Like he must have had 2, 3, 4 like buzzer-beating pull-up shots that are just very memorable. We nicknamed him Ice Cole, super, just cold in the fourth.
Yeah,
with the
fearless,
closeness of it all,
fearless basketball player, just a scorer, just a born scorer. He's scored big points from day one when he started playing organized basketball, high school, college, NBA. He just can score the ball.
Absolutely. He's been a walking bucket his whole life, and we're definitely excited to see him get another opportunity in Memphis, and we'll see, where he can go from here. And, I think Magic fans will always appreciate his
oh yeah, we'll all be
here.
pulling for him, for sure. And I know that he'll bounce back very nicely. He'll probably have a great year. It'll be fun to watch. I'm glad he's out in the West. I'm glad he and KCP we'll only see him twice.
There it is. Yeah, we don't have to see him too much. So I have so shifting to the logo here. I pulled up some pictures of the new logo with the Magic rebrand, and I just wanted to kind of hear your initial thoughts. And from what I've seen, it is just a resounding applause from Magic fans. Like, apparently this was years in the making. It was like interviewing Magic fans. It was getting their input, and it involved essentially fans saying we wanted to bring back the pinstripes and also the classic jersey, but with a more modern look. And I just think they nailed it, especially with the details between bringing back like the 1990s like Magic basketball logo, that like the type of magnet that I still have on my car, even from the Magic, from the Dwight days. But more modern with these stars that remind me of like the T-Mac jersey with the stars, and just combining that into one logo is just super incredible creativity to pay homage to longtime fans, I think.
Yeah, it's just a great mix of all of those things that you just talked about. And, you start with the name. Brilliant. That's a Pat Williams, 1988, 7 or 8.
It was almost the juice, right? It was on a napkin, and it was down to like magic and juice or something, right?
Yeah. But Magic it just nails Central Florida with the Disney connection, and now Disney's on the jersey. So you start with that, Orlando Magic, which, I love. And then bringing all those great elements from the past was just brilliant. And I know they reached out to fans. I also know, Ryan, they reached out to everybody on the staff.
Okay.
And got input and there are a lot of people, I don't know if you know this, but there are a lot of people that work for the Orlando Magic that have been with the organization for 20 to 25 years and beyond. A lot. People don't tend to leave, when they lock into a good job with the franchise. It's such a great place to work, great people to work for. So, those people had input too. And I think that they gathered the information, they sent it to the pros who draw it up, and this is what came out. And you're right, it's been widely applauded, not just in Magic circles. In fact, I thought, I read some of the comments online when it first came the first day. I think the reaction was more positive outside of Orlando in Central Florida than it was in. I saw some criticisms about, nitpicking this or that. And, Magic fans, they want what they want, I guess. And, weren't happy with some people weren't happy with a few aspects of it. But outside of Orlando, it was almost universal acceptance and approval of what the franchise had done. And that's still the perception that I think is around the NBA, that Orlando now has one of the cleanest looks, one of the great uniforms, and logos in the NBA. It's just a great look. I even like the two-tone. I mean, that's probably the one that has gotten the most criticism.
Yeah.
But I loved those warm-up jackets. I thought they were the coolest thing.
Yeah, I got them for you right here, and look who we got donning these warm-up jackets.
Yeah, there's JT.
Is the legend Jeff,
Dennis
and
Scott,
the whole lineup, just a whole lineup of legends.
Dennis horsing around, and Shaq and Dennis were probably had some joke going there. But yeah, that's a great look, and so they incorporated that, which But I go way back. The fans that go way back probably like this uniform better than the ones that maybe are the newer Magic fans, because the other two, the blue and the white, they're just perfect. They're just pure, clean, great look. And the other one is different, but I think that's great to have a uniform that, again, it connects to the team's history and brings back images of a great time in team history and a great look. It's just a great look.
It's such a great point there. What's funny is I did not make the connection at first. And at first it took me a second. I was like, this is a new design. And then I saw the jacket. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. They're paying homage to the original jacket. And at first I thought it was, there were some similarities to like the Dominique Wilkins Hawks jerseys with the side logo going up with the Hawks and the different colors. But when you really look more into it, like it's just like the jacket, and it's just an awesome way to pay homage to that original 90s team that made these jerseys iconic. And what's awesome to me is they found a way to bring back the classic pinstripe jerseys as the regular jerseys, and it's not like just a one-off throwback classic jersey night. Like, this is just what Magic fans and what basketball fans will tune in and see every time the Magic play, the actual iconic jerseys and the colors that they know and love from like the best time. So being able to like rebrand those a little bit and just bring them right back into the mixes every day is awesome. And I'm totally with you that having kind of a different look that I think has won people over since those original comments, because I do know what you're kind of talking about. But I think once everyone really, including myself, made the connection with the jacket homage, that's when it really put it over the top. It's like, okay, we made a jersey out of the iconic jacket. It's only blue on the front. It's all black on the back. So it's kind of like a cool design on the front and a little less mayhem or whatever on the back. So it's all very sleek and cool. I just think they came out great, and really just resounding applause from the Magic. And what's really been cool is just seeing the logo pop up now as the icon anytime the Magic are discussed or written about. And it does feel very modern and sleek and really just perfect. Like I've had plenty of criticisms to say over the years of some orange colored jerseys that may or may not get mentioned. I'm not sure how you felt about those. I am curious if you have a favorite Magic jersey. It doesn't have to be a favorite team or a player, but just any specific jersey type, any player. It could be a color or a number.
Oh, I like the black. I like the black pinstripe. I always thought that was the coolest look. And so we've got that with the blue panel, and what I also like is that I think it was Shelley Wilkes who kind of spearheaded this whole process in the organization. I think she said that. I'm pretty sure she made this statement. I hope so. That the pinstripes are not going away. That you can Magic fans. I think she said as long as I'm involved, there's going to be pinstripes, and I think everybody in the organization feels that way. So I think Magic fans can rest assured that going into the future, no matter what happens, you're going to have those pinstripes, that'll be a quick identifier for the ball club and kind of set them apart from others.
Absolutely. I think it's been part of the brand association with the Magic since the Shaq and Penny teams put those jerseys on the map in the 90s. And like, they have been a icon in pop culture and music videos and anything ever since then. And I personally associate it with like the Yankees got their pinstripes, the Bulls got their pinstripes, and the Magic got their pinstripes. And there's a couple different colors between each one. But I think like that the blue, the mix of the black, blue, and white and those pinstripes is just associated with the Magic more than anything else. So why not really build off of that when you're building jerseys, building new logos and all that. So I just can't say enough positive things. I mean, what a time as a Magic fan. We got these new jerseys. We got Desmond Bane in the mix.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can't come up with any controversy at all for us today, Ryan.
Man, I'll
It's
try to think of something negative.
it's all
Like
good stuff.
There's someone on the third team who really wants more minutes after all this trade that
Yeah,
we really
exactly.
that's it. So I got one more thought for you as a UF man who loves basketball. Calling the team, the UF just won the championship. The Magic got the 25th pick. The best player from that tournament, Walter Clayton, lights out shooter. It still might be a possible match. What do you think? Is there any match there for a potential draft pick?
Well, I did. I broadcast for the Gators for 7 seasons back before the Magic, and so I still have a lot of ties up there, and a lot of positive feelings about the Gators too. And I loved the team this past year, and Walter Clayton Jr. was just incredibly clutch, tough. He doesn't have the size. He's 23 years old, I believe. So, I think because of those factors, he probably is going to fall till late in the first round. So that'll be an interesting decision for the Magic to make right there, what direction they go. And I'm sure some of it will depend on what else they do, maybe in free agency with the player exception that they might be able to utilize, and what are the other pieces that they plan on bringing in? What that would probably help determine what they do at number 25. Or do you draft a guy and a guy with potential in our situation and stash him for a few years and develop a player like that? That could be on the table too. Or a 23-year-old college guy that could step in and maybe be a rotation guy. It's going to be tough. But we saw De Silva last year. He played when there were injuries, and he was a great guy to have because of that, because he's a good player. But when everybody's healthy, Tristan was not going to be in the rotation, and that's probably going to be the way it is with whoever is drafted in this situation. So it's a good decision. It's a good position to be in for the Magic. And I would think the only conversation I've had with Jeff about Walter Clayton was he had watched him play, and I said, "What do you think?" And he had said something to the effect of, "He's a very interesting player." So
Very
that's about
interesting.
as deep as you can get with Jeff. It told me that he likes him. So you could like a lot of other guys too, and it'll depend on the fit in the situation. But it's a possibility. I think it's a possibility.
I like that. Very, very interesting. Very interesting from Mr. Weltman there. On, I mean, Clayton's a super exciting talent, and to your point, we also didn't mention. I'm not sure if they'll bring them back, but the team had to waive Gary Harris and Corey Joseph as well. I believe because of the salary of Desmond Bane coming in, and or maybe the implications towards free agency. So I wanted to give them a shout too. I mean, Cory was an incredible fit, like just exactly what this offense needed apparently last year, where he just stepped in and was the point guard that needed. And Gary's been a reliable DN3 guard from the moment that trade went down. Like he was the best catch and shoot 3-point shooter in the league for like 2 or 3 years while he was here. And we kind of saw his usage go down as the young core kind of got better with Franz and Paulo getting more touches. But had to give a shout to them because as you were talking about all the possibilities with the draft, I did think that since they declined those options, maybe there is room for maybe a backup point guard or even a third string point guard type, like a prospect. Maybe there's room for a new DN3 wing that might replace a Gary Harris or a KCP on as depth on the bench as kind of like a seventh or eighth man. And the last, I think, frontier is maybe figuring out the long term center answer, and they have plenty of options. Wendell's shown a complete skill set when he's fully healthy and himself. So that could just the answer could already be here. But I think those are maybe the last question marks in the draft or in free agency that they might round out because it is interesting. Like if they'll bring bring back everyone. I'm hoping they bring back some of the guys on maybe smaller team friendlier deals, but if they can get more elsewhere, that's the name of the game.
I would think, and I have no, again, because, this front office, they do what they do behind closed doors, but I would think that there are still some big decisions to be made, like I said early in our podcast, around the edges of the roster. Because obviously you've got the starting lineup pretty well locked in, and you're going to have Isaac off the bench, and you're going to have Anthony Black, and De Silva will probably be a factor this year. But there are some spots, there are some roster spots, whether they bring those guys that they did not pick up the option on, whether they bring them back or not. There are going to be some available spots, and another chance to upgrade the team. I thought Gary, when he was healthy, and that was the big problem over the last few years. But when he was available, you noticed Jamahl Mosley. He played him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, soon as the day that he came off the injured list, that night he was in the rotation. And that tells you a lot, that the trust that Jamahl Mosley had in Gary Harris. He was a more than average, very, very good defender at the 2 spot, and so yeah, but the thing is, how many games did he play? And going forward, what's that going to look like too? So when he was out there, he was a plus player for the ball club.
Absolutely, just a reliable vet, true professional. Like, no surprise that when you're asking Jamahl Mosley to win games and not develop players now, right?
Exactly.
So like he's going to play the veteran that knows where to be and what to do when you're trying to win games. And I think that is that's something fans might not fully realize watching games, is you see all these young prospects, high draft picks, not get playing time in favor of guys that have been around the league and might not be considered like future long-term pieces. Well, who's better today? Like, who's going to help us win this basketball game tonight? Because we need somebody that knows where to be and what to do. And I think that is what Gary represented entirely, because he was an even higher end player with Denver before the injuries started piling up. So, for him to like fully professionally just accept any role, any opportunity given to him and like do it with a smile, I think speaks to his professionalism and his makeup as a player. And
if he's not brought back by the Magic, I think there will be a contending team that will say, that guy, let's bring him in, because he in the playoffs you can trust him, like you said, and I think he'll find a spot on an NBA roster if the Magic don't bring him back.
Absolutely. So I thought maybe one last question here. I might have asked a similar one last time, but I'd love to just kind of hear one more time about your mindset as a sportscaster, as the Magic broadcaster. Just what is your goal every time you're calling a game? Like, does it change? Do you have the same goal every time of like just wanting to make it fun? Like, are you conscious about every little thing about trying to be respectful to the other team and not sound like you're rooting for your own team, but at the same time you're holding down the Magic broadcast like you are the voice of the Magic? So, what is the challenges of just calling a fair game and trying to like put the best product out there for the fans? And I gotta say, like, you're right up there with any of them as my favorite to listen to a game. So you're doing it right. I'm just wondering what that process, that mental process is like before a game.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate those comments. My thing, I guess, from very early on has been to be prepared and to have a good time and to be accurate and to be fair to players, coaches, referees, and to work well with whoever I'm working with, to have a chemistry. I don't like listening to broadcasts that it feels like two people are on a separate track and one goes and then the other goes, and or 3 broadcasters are not together. So I think that I have been fortunate to work with people that I was friends with, whether it was Goose Givens or Matty Gukas or now Jeff Turner. So that makes a big difference in my mind for the viewer. I do think that fans subconsciously lean toward broadcasters who are having a good time and like each other and, dig each other every now and then. And so Jeff and I, we have a good time. Um, some of it is staged. Some of the is this anything stuff. We work on that and try to present a fun product every night when we go off script. And sometimes the off script stuff is more popular than the game. That's I'll do a game and be walking the dog in the neighborhood and somebody will say, "I loved it when you and Jeff were talking about X, Y, Z or whatever." So, we have a good time. That's a big part of it. But also, to be prepared and to give good information and get out of the way for Jeff to do his thing and not dominate the broadcast because he's so good at what he does. So, it's I've just been doing it a long time, and hopefully at this point, if I haven't figured out, the method by this point, then it's not going to happen. So, um, I just try to have a good time with it and be informative and kind of just guide the show along.
Absolutely. What I appreciate uh, is kind of I might have mentioned this before as well, but just the radio, like it's almost as if you're watching the game, but you're calling it as if you can't see anything as well, and that mix of calling the action as it's happening, like it's a radio broadcast, but still finding the balance of knowing that it is a TV game, and you got to leave space for Jeff, and you got to find that you can't just talk the whole time. Like people are watching, and you want to leave some room for the actual game. So it's definitely an art to sportscasting, and just wanted to give you some flowers here to end the pod at the very least. That we appreciate you and Jeff and Dante and Kendra and the team that have been around for so long, and just appreciate what you've been doing, and you are very much the voice of the Magic, and it's well deserved because you put in the years calling these games, and now it's time to get David Steele a championship. We need him to have a
Oh boy,
title
that would be
out
great.
here. So
What a way to go out that would be.
hey, we got a couple more years here to make it happen right before as this core is just getting started. Who knows how long
Yeah,
it'll take. So
good
man,
stuff.
can't wait to see how it all plays out. Appreciate you taking the time today, David, and let's get you that title. It's right around the corner,
Thanks,
right?
Ryan. I appreciate it. Enjoyed talking to you.
Absolutely, anytime. Happy to do it anytime. Always fun talking hoops, David. Have a good one.
With Ryan.
Learning Basketball is a Swish Theory podcast hosted from Beyond the Arcade. Hey, that's me. You can find my work on Twitter, YouTube, Substack, and check out the team's writing at theswishtheory.com.